Hi, Dr. Dara here, Truth with Dr. Dara, and tonight we are going to talk about relationship communication. Ooh, it applies to all of us because everybody is in a relationship. Nobody cannot be in a relationship. You are either in a relationship with a significant other or you're in a relationship with your family. You are in a relationship. You can't not be in a relationship. Even if you're in a relationship with yourself, you're still in a relationship. So we are on Facebook and we're also on Instagram Live. If you guys have any questions or comments, then go ahead and please put them down in the bottom. Valeria and Kirsten, yay, I see you guys are on, and there's some others on Instagram. So again, we're talking about communication and we're talking about how we're gonna get our point across, because so often in relationships there's a disconnect. There's something that's just not jiving right. And I'm pretty jazzed up today because I spent the day doing a training, assisting at a rapid resolution therapy training, and it was great. And we talked about the ideas around how RRT can be so effective in helping people clear different traumas, PTSD, childhood abuse. And I was really thinking a lot about communication and how so many of our patterns are ingrained, and there's so much research and studies that talk about the idea that it is happening at a very young age, the way that our mind significantly correlates things that have happened in our perceptions, and it jades us. It also creates part of our story and part of the ideas that we have. I see a bunch more of you are jumping on all over the country, which is very exciting. Lovely Lucille, I see you're there. I see Oliver, you're on, and some others. I'm trying to look through here. Debbie, Amy, Brittany, all of you, great. So if you have questions, go ahead and put them there in the comments, and I will do my best to get to them as soon as possible. You may even hear some little friends whimpering. My big greyhound, I think his belly is hurting, and he's, oh, did you hear that? He's laying over there. It's hurting him. He's communicating with me, and I've got my assistant Denzel over here as well. You want to say hi? Say hi. There he is. My team. So, how do you express to a partner when it's time for an upgrade? I don't know if any of you are experiencing that. I said hello, so now he's excited and wants to continue. He likes to be in the spotlight, right? How do you tell your partner? Well, first and foremost with communication, whether it's coming from something that has been modeled to you when you were a kid, whether it's different ideas and the way that your mind is wired in other relationships, and we can talk more about that. But the premise of it is how do you upgrade your partner? First of all, I want to just put it out there, it's an as-is sale when you're talking about relationships, because how you meet them is as it's going to be continuance. I made that mistake many times in relationships myself. I would meet somebody and I would think that they would change. And then in the end, they didn't change. Nothing changed. Denzel seems to think this is a hot topic. They didn't change. Nothing changed. The only thing that changed is the level of my anxiety and my agitation, thinking and hoping that things would be different when they wouldn't be different. And so you want to be very realistic when you meet somebody how they are, even if it's around weight gain or loss or their career or different things that they want to do. You have to be willing that however they're doing it in that moment is going to have to be. I don't care if they're going to medical school and you think that they're going to be this world-renowned doctor. If they're working in a restaurant at that moment, you really want to wrap around the idea that that's the way that they're going to be. So as is critical. Adrian, I see that you're on. I don't know why you're not out riding tonight. So I have a lot of competition with those of you who go out riding on your Indians and then Grey's Anatomy, but I'm very glad to have you on with me right now. So in relationship upgrades, that would be part of it too, because often we think that our partners are going to stop doing things or do things differently. I know a lot of people think that, oh, well, once we get in the relationship, things will change and they'll make some different decisions and they'll adjust it, or maybe they'll do the things that I want them to do. And the truth of the matter is no, they are not going to change and they are not going to do it different. If they do, then it's a bonus. I got a question this week or a comment about, I said, who wants to put an upgrade into their partner? And Esma from Germany said to me, well, I'm pleased with the way that, well, this is how I got it. I'm pleased with my partner and they don't need an upgrade and I want to support them. But there's always things that you may want them to change. And yes, it is that, but the best way that you can get people to make any kind of change is, are you ready? Drum roll, please. You have got to do it yourself. You can't be expecting other things from other people if you're not doing it. I think that is very imperative with it. And as I posted this week around the idea that it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And if you're going through things and you're demanding and telling people the way that you want it done, well, guess what? It is not happening. So you've got to be doing it. You've got to lead by your own energy. And we spend a lot of time in relationships just talking about what's not happening and what we don't want, opposed to what it is that we do want. And it's really critical to really see what are the things that are going right, what is working. And as you're getting as is, again, I'm gonna say a lot of as is. I don't know if any songs are coming out of me tonight. We'll have to see how that goes. But as is, they're doing it. You can't expect that they're gonna do it any different or that they're gonna do it the way that you're gonna do it. So it's not about letting them know what you want, it's about you doing what you need to do and then letting them jump on your ship. And this idea around communication is so critical because, you know, as of right now, I'm discussing it more in a partner capacity, but the reality of it is in every single relationship. And whether you're a coach and you're an athlete, whether it's with friendships, the communication is still really important. And what is gonna really be successful in relationships is saying things the way that you want. I've already said it's not how you say it, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And that's gonna carry through no matter what the relationship is. And with that is being genuine and honest and sincere. I mean, this is a popular phrase in my house that you want to treat others how you want to be treated. And often we forget that. And even when I'm with the kids, one thing that I notice that goes a long way is me making eye contact. Okay, I'm gonna show you how fast I can completely sprint and open my door to let my big greyhound out that needs to go to the bathroom. So I want you to count. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. I guess I should have sang during that one, right? Anyway, he needed to go to the bathroom. He was communicating with me in a nonverbal way. So sarcastically thinking about that, as silly as that is, that's something that also goes a long way, not just verbally what we're doing with the eye contact, which is so important. If you want something done, look somebody straight in the eye in order to get it done. And we lose that a lot right now with different ways of technology, right? Because it's through text. Don't you love it when somebody says, I don't like the tone of text that you sent it in? Or in a voicemail, I don't like the way that your voicemail is. Or in the way that you are talking, but nothing beats direct communication. And another way of getting something done the way that you want to get it done, not only is with eye contact, but is in touching. That's something that I didn't get for a long time. I'm not talking about like smothering up on somebody. I'm talking about putting your hand on their hand. I'm talking about putting your hand on their back, or just being in proximity with them, and your body language is gonna go a long way. If your body language is saying, come closer, but you're like this, you're not gonna get anywhere. So engaging and showing interest and being present when somebody is talking. I see a bunch of others that have jumped on, Elisa and Carol and Bobby. I see you over there. And so you guys are on Instagram and Facebook. Please jump in, put your comments. Tell me if you're in the middle of a relationship upgrade right now, if you're trying to get people to do things different than the way that they are. Let me know. And if you have any questions or thoughts around it, because I can't imagine that there is not anybody, there's got to be everybody on here right now that's in a relationship, and there's different ideas of how you think that it should be different. I know that originally the question I got is, how do I get my husband to upgrade? Maybe it's around weight loss. And I think that what gets stuck for people the most, I know what gets stuck for people, is that they're telling them what to do. You're telling them how they should do it. And if your partners are anything like me, if you tell me to do something, it is not gonna happen. I wanna be the inventor of it. I wanna be creative. I wanna know that I get to author it and do it the way that I wanna get it done. And that is really important. You wanna, even if they don't think that it's their idea, you wanna think that it is. So I'm just curious if you guys can show me some correspondence, what kind of relationships that we're looking to upgrade. Is it with your partner? Is it with your kids? Is it with your family? What is it? Oh, I have to say I'm really excited. I see we have got some people on the line from Dominican Republic. How are you? It's one of my nieces. Yay. And Shandi, I see that you're on too. Let's see. Kristen says, how do you get your partner to exercise, weight loss, etc., without hurting their feelings? Well, I know that the person, Kirsten, you asking it, it's not so much about you because you lead by example, and at one point it's going to have to be on them whether they decide to do it or not, because you pushing them is not going to get them to do it, unfortunately. The more that you're on them, the more that they're gonna feel like, oh, even if I try, I don't want it to be failure. So the biggest thing that you can do is you can give them encouragement of what you do like. And you can say, maybe not like exercise, it can be like, so let's go for a walk together, and it be something that you guys can do and it integrates, but it doesn't necessarily feel like hard, bad, tough exercise. Because what happens for a lot of people when it's around exercise, it feels intimidating, and if they've done it in a certain capacity, competitively, in a different way, it just feels very all or nothing for them. And it is for you too, especially if they have been engaged in exercise and they did it before and they're not doing it now. But at the end of the day, it's got to be fun for them, and you really want to ask yourself a magical question. You may not feel like it's so magical. What if they don't do it? What if they don't do it anymore and this is just the way it is? So we're back to the as is sale. What if you want them to do something that you think is in their best interest, and it clearly might be in their best interest, but let's just say that they don't, it may not be that they don't think that it's in their best interest, but they're not game for it and it's not happening. So you want to check in with yourself and be like, and what if they don't do it? If they don't do it, what are you gonna do? How is that gonna happen? How do you convince your partner that your way is better way to deal with the things that your plan is most of the time a better plan? Well, again, it's kind of going to be the same thing. You can't convince them. You're going to show them by example. You're going to communicate it honestly and openly, because also what happens is then we feel guilty, or we feel bad that if we tell them to do something a certain way. And I know that when I'm uncomfortable in a topic, I circle around it. I put in a bunch of different words that are not necessarily like honestly, or, I almost discredit. So we want to pay attention, not just to what we're saying, but how we're saying, and if we're being direct. Because if you are not saying, I feel this because, it completely gets lost in communication. And number one, if you're saying it not nice, or you're feeling frustrated, you may have the most valid point, but if it doesn't come across in a place from authenticity or sincerity, or that you're not pissed off, they're not hearing you. They're not hearing you at all. So be very clear what it is that you want to happen, and then speak to them sincerely, communication open body language. And it's important, a lot of times when you're frustrated, you're already on the defense, and ask yourself what it is that they could even do that would be what you want. What is your intention? And start seeing them the way that you want it, because that is going to draw energy towards it. Talk to them as if they're already doing it, not that they're not. So if I want my partner to see the way that I'm seeing it, talk to them as if they already see it, and you guys are communicating ahead. I know that sometimes people think that this sounds hokey when we talk about it in this capacity, but create a story around it as if it's already done. Kirsten, I want you to see your husband already with that weight off, already being active, you guys out hiking a mountain, or doing fun activities, whether it's with him and his family. Already see that happening. And Valeria, if the same way of convincing them, see yourself having that conversation as if it's already happened, just the way that you want it. But at the end of the day, it's what if it doesn't happen? What does this mean? Is this a game changer for you? Because let's just be honest too, there are certain things that are non-negotiable. What are your non-negotiables? And about hurting their feelings, I mean, are you worried about not hurting their feelings, or are you not worried about hurting your feelings? Are you worried about how they're gonna respond to you? I mean, how do you want someone else to talk to you? Just like I said before, how do you want other people to talk to you? Would you want somebody to be direct, or would you want them to just not tell you and then become resentful, and it comes out sideways anyway? So if you have these things that you're wanting to be different in the relationship and you're not direct about telling them, guess what? It's not going to happen. There's no way it's going to happen. And then you're going to end up being agitated. So then when you are trying to tell them, it's not even going to come out the way that you want it to. And I get it. You guys are in relationships, long-term relationships. You've got history, and it can be frustrated. But the other part of it is developing other assets and strengths in the relationship around the things that you do like to do. So, I mean, let me just throw something crazy out there. When was the last date night you had when you were doing something that you enjoyed? If all you're doing is sensing what you don't want, and you want your partner to see things from a different perspective, they're going to be a lot more receptive if you're doing stuff in a fun atmosphere than if you're just doing it when that moment it feels icky to you and it doesn't feel like it's connected. And the same thing for any relationship. If it's a friend and there's something that you think that they're not going to be pleased with, well, how would you want to set the tone so that they can hear you? And I cannot say it enough times. Put the damn phone down. Sending text messages is not the way to explain and express. That's not, I mean, that doesn't work for me. I feel like it's back to the old-fashioned way that we would do mail, and you would send a letter to somebody, at least that has some significance. Valeria says, exactly. I'm worried about them hurting my feelings without seeing that they hurt my feelings. But that's a great opportunity to just be direct with them and let them know what you're experiencing so that the communication continue to be open, because at the end of the day, nothing's going to change if nothing changes. And if you continue the same patterns that you've always been doing, guess what? I can guarantee you what's going to happen. The same thing. And you're wanting something different. So you've got to take that step in the direction. You know, most couples, therapists, like world-renowned books, is about the idea, like a contractual idea of putting it out there, because sometimes we're so scared that, well, what if it happens and they don't want to be with me? Well, you know, I don't think that that's what we're discussing right now, but at the end of the day, do you want to continue to be imprisoned in the same relationships that you are in? What is it that you want? What is it that you want, the way that you want it, the way that you want to see it, and create that. Because I totally get that feeling in past relationships where I felt I was living out what they wanted, and I was too scared to stand on my own and put out there what it is that I wanted. And in the end, I was miserable, and they were miserable because I was miserable. So you can't tell me that that's going to be helpful. And originally I talked about the idea that a lot of these ideas around relationships are molded because of the way that we grew up, or just the way that our perception has been around that. And that's critical when we're talking about these kinds of things with relationships. Ask yourself too, well, what am I comparing this to, and what am I putting this? Is this the way that I think that it's supposed to be? And think about the relationships that are successful, the relationships that are working. What are they doing? They are communicating. They are expressing affection towards one another. They are prioritizing each other. And I can't help but say this enough times. I get that we're talking about romantic, more intimate partnerships, but the same rules apply. The same rules apply whether you are talking about your relationships with your children, your parents, anybody in your family, your friendships. I see a few more have jumped on. Welcome to those just kind of getting in the relationship communication game. Cheryl Lee, Penny, and some more of you are on Instagram. Instagram tricks me out because it doesn't always have people's names, so I don't always know exactly who it is. Please, if you have questions or comments, go ahead and put them down below. And we are talking about relationship communication, being open and honest, setting the precedent, asking yourself, when you're so worried about hurting somebody else's feelings, are you worried more about your own feelings getting hurt? Being transparent, and nonverbal communication skills are just so imperative, because if you're saying something but you're sitting there with your arms crossed, what do you think is letting them know what you're open to? I mean, I think that's something to really check in. And I work with a lot of adolescents, and I see just such different communication patterns, and even signs of affection get very mixed and confused for them. And they're seeing this idea around pressures And it's an as-is sale. I mean, it's not 50% off, it's not 30% off, it's as is. When you're with a person, what can you expect? Exactly the way that they are. And what's getting hung in this idea around relationships is having these expectations. We talked about this last week when we were speaking about our love cup being full and fulfilling ourselves. You know, I just know that I'm feeling good with me. I'm wanting more from other people. I can guarantee you, those that have concern about what's going on in your relationship, the first thing that you've got to do is you've got to clean your side of the street. So you can't be expecting them to do it if you're not doing it, like we spoke about before. But when you're feeling good about you, that tends to be also when people start to question what's going on for other people. Debbie says, being open and honest is scary, but it gets easier the more than you do it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it starts with small things and then it goes on, because nobody wants conflict, nobody wants confrontation, and sure as hell nobody wants to feel a sense of rejection. But really check in with yourself, because I'm thinking that the rejection that you're feeling week after week in the relationship that's not going right is so much more painful than the rejection that you might experience if you actually tell them what you think. And then there's two options. You tell them what you think, and what can happen? One, they're totally into it and they're respected, and then they want to make it better. Or two, they don't want to make it better, which is cool too, because it's already been sucking. So what is it that you want? Do you want mediocrity, or do you want something more? If you want something more, it is scary. Or is it scary, or is it just the fact that there's some anxiety? And when that anxiety is experiencing, what is it telling you? It's telling you that change is happening and something can be done, because nothing can be done if you don't experience that initial reaction of something. I totally get it. There's like that pit in your stomach where you feel like you're just like, and you just can't help but want something more than where you're at. But the reality of it is doing nothing. Doing nothing would be far worse than doing something. So really check in with yourselves. Make some time to spend with people, quality time, so that you can create that connection. And whether it's making dates with your children, your family, your partner, and then let's talk about what's not working. And once again, I think the big message with this is, can you live with it just the way it is, as is? And what if nothing changes? Because if nothing is going to change, in all reality, I'm not saying, hey, you can choose to leave it, you can choose to not continue the relationship. That's fine. But at the other part of it, if you're going to stay in the relationship, there has to be some component that you're in, and you can't keep bringing it up over and over and over again, because that is not going to get them to change, and that's not going to be beneficial for them in any capacity either. So it is as is sale, my friends. And if you have any questions, comments, go ahead and put them in. We're going to be wrapping up shortly. I am very excited for next month. I don't know how many of you know that next month it's Women's Month, which I think is such a great opportunity to celebrate, you know who? Us. And what is important for me and my intention is not about celebrating it in a capacity of what hasn't happened for women. The same way we're talking about these relationships, I want us to really focus on what is going right for women and how we are making our mark and what are the great factors of being a woman, because often I feel that people get stuck with the idea of how we don't have as many rights, or we're feeling not respected in the workplace. I get it, we could go on all day, but really, what is the president and the energy that we want to put out there? So as we're talking about your relationships, what is your position in the relationship? What is the way that you want it to be and the way that you see it moving ahead? And with that, next week, it's called National Unplug Day on March 1st. So next Thursday night, we're gonna be talking about, you got it, some people call it self-care, taking care of the women. How do we unplug? How do we disconnect? I can't wait to see your ideas, your questions, your feedback, but that is what next week is all about as we march into March with our Women's Month. We'll also be talking about competency versus confidence. I think that's a big thing. People talk to me about getting more confidence, and I wonder, is it about just acting as if you're something, or feeling confident and skilled of what you've got? And again, this is so applicable whether you're an athlete, a mom, a professional. All of us have an inner champion inside of us, and it's connecting with that and just unleashing that beast and really tapping into what is most important for you and who it is that you want. You know, here we are, and we're zipping into the third quarter, or the end of the first quarter, I should say, the third month in the first quarter. And how is your year shaping up, and what is the mark you want to leave? So March is all about the girls, and if you're a gentleman, then you would be just as clever to tap in, because if you really want to understand what's going on for women and connect, then this would be a great opportunity for you to jump in as well. It's kind of like somebody said, I was talking with one of my clients the other day, and he's a young guy, and he was working on different ideas, and he was thinking, I don't know if going to a yoga class or a Pilates class is for me. And I'm thinking, that's a best idea you could possibly have. If you're a guy and you want to connect with women, then you're doing something and getting to be around them, doing things that they enjoy to do. That's ingenious to me if you're a guy and you want to do things. So this is my way of telling guys, no, it's not just about women, and we don't want men around during the month of March. We do. We would love to have your input and your ideas and how this affects you, but around women. So please send me messages. I love saying you can DM me. I learned that means you can direct message me anytime on Instagram or Facebook. You can always email me at dara@drdara.com. Please be sure to get in on my website and sign up for my newsletter if you haven't already, drdara.com. And there's a lot of exciting things coming up in the spring. I've got some different conferences that I'm doing, some presentations. I'll keep you guys in the loop. I appreciate all the support and the questions that I get, whether it is in private messages or in the Facebook group, Truth with Dr. Dara. And I am going to look forward to talking to you guys next week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Facebook Live and Instagram Live. Thank you guys. Take care, and get me those questions and ideas around March women's wonderfulness. Take care, guys. Have a great night.